Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rant Booth here exclusively on A2D Radio. We're here Sundays now, 11:30, to lead you right into the full week of NFL games. The slate. We got Eagles versus Commanders, Jalen Hurts versus Carson Wentz, Carson Wentz versus the Eagles organization in general. It's going to be a big day today, and we will lead you right up into there. My name's Jimmy. This is John Coyle, and we got Brandon here on the rant booth as well. He is a Jets writer. He has all the credentials in the world, and we're going to start off right away by talking some Jets, talking some Jets versus Bengals. Will the Bengals fall to 0-3? Are the Jets for real? I'll tell you one thing. I love the over in this game, but remember, we are brought to you by All Campus. All Campus is giving away 20% off of everything in our store, including hats, shirts, and everything else to all of our subscribers. So make sure you check in, come down here. Beautiful day here in Ocean City, New Jersey, 10th Street on the boardwalk. Yep. So make sure you check us out. How are we doing today, Brandon?
Doing well. Excited to get this rolling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what is your immediate thought process about the Jets this year? Just give us a little rundown of what exactly is your title with the Jets?
So I'm a writer for Jets Insider and the Jet Lounge. So I'm writing for both platforms, doing some game recaps, different articles, doing, just a bunch of different coverage about the Jets. And, it's a team that, if everything clicks right, if everything goes right, they could start improving and start moving in the right direction for a franchise that, quite frankly, has not been doing that in the past few years.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys had a hell of a comeback last week against the the Browns. So I don't know if we're gonna talk anything about Browns because they're just a pitiful organization. They did have a big Thursday night win this week, but Mitch Trubisky just doesn't look good.
No, he's not going to be there long.
But you guys do have a lot of young talent from skill position wise. If you talk about Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Breece Hall, and if Zach Wilson, if he could put it together when he comes back, I think this Jets team can. I don't think they're going to do anything this year, but they are built for the long run, I believe. Their defensive line is young, and they got some ballers on that defensive line. I'm not really sure about the offensive line. If you want to maybe jump into that, because you know that any NFL contender, it starts in the trenches.
So with the offensive line, they kind of have been stacked up against it, at least in the tackle position, because, coming into the year, Mekhi Becton was supposed to be that anchor at left tackle. And, he gets hurt, and that's never good because he's the guy you want to be the franchise guy. He's struggled with injuries. I was a proponent in the offseason of adding a little bit more tackle depth because of those injuries, because he hasn't shown that ability to stay on the field where, when that situation happens, you need to have a guy that's immediately ready in the organization. And, they fall into the Dwayne Brown signing, but at the same time, you're moving George Fant to the right side once again. And as good as Fant was at left tackle last year, he had his struggles at right tackle before. He wasn't, bottom 3 in the league type bad, but he wasn't as good as he was on the left side. And then Dwayne Brown goes down again. Yep. That tackle signing that is supposed to help you with Becton. And then you're flipping Fant back to the left side and putting a 4th-round rookie developmental guy in Max Mitchell that, quite frankly, wasn't really supposed to see the field at all this early on. And, he's holding his own, but at the same time, it's not that level that, you want from a guy versus like if you had Brown or Becton in there. And in terms of like the interior, the interior, I think, is one of the better ones in football. Elijah Vera Tucker is turning into one of the better guards. Laken Tomlinson, very good run blocker. So I'm very happy with that part of the team. They've had their struggles, but for what do you call it?
Sorry to throw you off.
No, I see it. Look, I get it. But I think that overall with the Jets, I came into this year looking at it being like, look, they need to compete in a lot more games. They need to not be getting blown out by 2 scores in every single game. And because that's the next step. It's once you do that, then next year it's okay. Now we start winning these games and we start actually like contending. It's not you don't go from having 3-4 wins to all of a sudden you're a playoff team unless you have like a guy like Josh Allen, a guy like Pat Mahomes. It doesn't happen overnight. And, I've seen a lot of discourse with the fact that, if Flacco like wins today and the Jets are 3-1 or 2-1, they got to stick with him.
No,
that's horrible.
I disagree with that because it's
any logical football fan would disagree with that.
Exactly.
You don't even have to be a Jets fan to like the same thing happened with the Eagles after the Super Bowl run.
Yep.
I mean, everybody was clamoring for Nick Foles to be the starter. Obviously, he started the season after the Super Bowl year because Wentz was still recovering from the ACL, and Foles looked horrible. He looked like a backup quarterback, and that's why Wentz came back. He maybe rushed it. Who knows what happened? But people were clamoring here in Philadelphia for it. I mean, same thing's happening in San Francisco. I know Trey Lance got hurt.
Yeah, with Jimmy G now.
But it's just a weird situation when you have a backup quarterback that starts winning football games.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for the Jets this year is they need to see what they have in Zach Wilson. Because like you said earlier in the show, they have the core between Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Breece Hall, Michael Carter. Even you could add Corey Davis, like the tight ends. They got the weapons. Their defense, while it's not fully there, I think they need another safety. I think they need a little bit more help at linebacker. They're building the pieces. And if you find out Zach Wilson's the guy, that allows you to go out and make a big move for potentially a safety or a linebacker in the offseason and divert those resources there. If Wilson isn't the guy, you do one of two things. You trade up in the draft for what's looking like a decent quarterback class, or when that inevitable star quarterback gets disgruntled again, you go make a move for a veteran. Because that, as we've seen in the modern NFL, these things pop up. These quarterbacks are becoming a lot more unhappy very quickly. It's becoming a bit more player driven, a la the NBA in a little bit. But that's the biggest key, I feel like, the rest of the season. Compete and see if Zach Wilson's the guy, because those two things are going to be very important to see how the Jets improve over basically this year and how they improve going forward.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about going from the GOAT in Tom Brady and having to deal with him for 15 years to now having to go with what people are saying is the next GOAT of our generation in Josh Allen? Do you guys feel like you're just, doomed for 30 years now? Or how's the fan base taking that?
I feel like it's not as prevalent until you compete. Because in the Jets case, this is a team that's been picking top 10, top 5 for the past 3, 4, probably even 5 years. Right. And once that reality comes where they start competing, then I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of we're back in the Brady era again. This guy can't be stopped. And just from a general perspective, as good as Brady was, he did not have the all-world talent that Josh Allen has.
Oh, no.
Brady was more of a cerebral, I'm going to direct the offense. I'm going to know literally what everything is happening on the field. Yeah. Absolute insane quarterback that pleasure to watch, even though I'm a Jets fan. You have to respect the guy and what he did. Right. Josh Allen.
I don't respect
it. Josh Allen,
he's a freak.
Yeah, I'm going to sit on my back foot and throw a ball 65 yards on a line. It's crazy. And it's just two different play styles, but it's the same. All right, we're back in the same situation where it's this guy that's probably going to run the division for the next 10 years. But the Jets can build up that roster and become a competitive team. They can still be a threat, but they might not be as good as the Bills. And frankly, if we look at the NFL, there's maybe 2 teams that are as good as the Bills right now.
Right.
Yeah. So you guys do have, I would say, maybe the structure to start competing over the next few seasons. Everybody knows that you need a good front office. I think you guys do. I think you guys have built a solid team up there. You guys maybe have the coach. You guys maybe have the quarterback. Just give us your thought process on Rob Saleh if you think he's a good coach, if you think he's your guy. And then I know you've been touching base on Zach Wilson. He's been called Patrick Mahomes when he got drafted last year. I don't see it yet. Do you see any glimpses of that? And what do you think of Rob Saleh?
So starting with Salah, I'm focusing on today a lot. And the reason I'm focusing on today a lot is bad football teams and not great football teams, when they have a victory like they do last week. So the Jets have this improbable victory. They come back from 2-touchdown deficit, under 2 minutes left to get the win. The next week, bad football teams get blown out. They lose by 3 scores. They get run off the field. They're not prepared to play. My biggest focus, and this will go a long way to showing, okay, is this culture actually changing? Is what everything that's been said in the building actually true? If they come out and compete right away and they're attacking the Bengals and they're going like up and down the field and they're playing hard on defense, you're going to see a culture change, because in so many times in the past when the Jets would have this type of victory, they would just fall on their face right away. And
Right.
I feel like that's the most important thing, because good football teams need to know how to win, and they need to know after those wins that they need to keep going, and that it's not enough after that to not rest on their laurels. And look, I like Salah a lot. I do. But, there's obviously things that every head coach needs to improve on. There's things that he needs to improve on as well. Clock management isn't always, the best, especially with defense. I know he's not specifically calling the defense, but being able to make a few more in-game adjustments in that regard. So it's like the small things I'm watching. And then the big overall, is the team prepared to play? Is the team not sloppy? Are they coming out playing hard right away? Like, that's the most important thing for me in terms of going forward, because that's how you see the development of a team. That's how you see a team not being like, oh, we're okay, like resting on our laurels from one win in week 2, and
Right.
and not being as locked in as they should be in week 3. In terms of Wilson, he has all the talent in the world. He just has to honestly make the easy plays. It's a matter of, he's the type of guy right now where, and he did a bit better job of it down the stretch last year, but he can make all the big plays, but he just, one, can't turn over the ball, and 2, he has to hit the gimmies. He can't. I think that's a problem with a lot of young quarterbacks, especially when they're coming from college, where in Wilson's case, he could do everything and basically be untouchable.
Right.
Into the NFL, where they got to learn, okay, it's okay to take the 5-yard check down. It's okay to hit the first read on a curl, in the middle of the field, versus, it's like, I don't have to throw the ball 55 yards every single play. I don't need to go for the big play every single time. And if he can start doing that and is able to, I think in this year, and I saw this comparison, and I like this a lot, if he can be 49ers Jimmy Garoppolo and play within
That's what we're saying about Jalen.
Yeah.
play within the structure of the offense and not lose the Jets games, but
Right.
at the same time still have those big plays where he can win you a game here and there, I think that's all you can ask for in year 2. You can't have a guy that, did not look like a top tier quarterback and ask him, hey, go win us like 5 games. It's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been talking about this throughout the whole summer. The best qualities that a quarterback can have is converting on 3rd and long and scoring in the red zone. But like, those are the 2 things that quarterbacks need to do to be successful in this league. You see Josh Allen do it. You see Pat Mahomes do it. You see Tom Brady do it. You see all these guys where they convert on 3rd and long, we're using their arm, and they convert when they are in the red zone. You can't be trading 7 for 3 every single possession. And I feel like that's what the Jets have done really since Bart Scott.
Yeah, for a decade.
Yeah, since he said can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've seen from the Jets. Let's get into just today's game. You guys are going to be hosting the Bengals, correct?
Mhm.
You're hosting the Bengals. The spread is 6.5. You guys are getting 6.5. What do you like about this line? And then maybe talk about maybe your fantasy plays for the day. Like Garrett Wilson, is he for real? Is he going to have the type of game he had last week? Is Elijah Mitchell just non-existent after what he did last year. Who's the better play at running back, Breece Hall or Michael Carter? And if people are desperate, do they play Joe Flacco at quarterback?
So that line, it's and this has been my major key looking at this game. Can the Jets pass rush come alive against a Cincinnati O-line that, frankly, has not been good this year?
Yeah, they've been bad.
Yeah.
Really bad.
So if that happens, if guys like Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams, Bryce Huff, all the guys on the Jets line are able to get after the quarterback, I think that's a very realistic possibility for the Jets to cover the 6.5 line. If they don't get after the pass rush, I think Burrow could end up throwing for possibly 400 yards. And that's not and that's not saying like I dislike what the Jets have at corners, because I really like what Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed have done so far this year. But that, like I said, that second safety position, big worry for me. Linebackers aren't exactly, the best right now. They have talent, but they're a bit shaky at times. And for a receiving core and weapons core that has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon and even Tyler Boyd. You got Tyler Boyd matched up on the Jets' second, third string safety. He could go for 150 yards.
God, I really hope not, because I'm playing against Tyler Boyd, and this is a must win for me this week. So if Tyler Boyd goes off, I may sell my team.
so like it's been more so for me because, and we'll get to the Jets offense a little bit. It's, can that pass rush come alive? Because if you get Burrow rattled on that first or second series, he's going to be double thinking every single play. And it doesn't matter how good of a quarterback you are. We saw this with Brady too when he was in his prime. When you start hitting the quarterback, he starts second guessing. He starts not trusting his reads. He starts not trusting things. And that's where you capitalize as a defense. In terms for the Jets offense, I think Elijah Moore is going to have a very big day. And that's not to say I think Garrett Wilson's not going to have a good day. But I think the Bengals are going to key in on Wilson, which is going to mean Elijah Moore is going to probably have a lot of one-on-one matchups. And that is very advantageous for Elijah Moore. I think he is going to have a much bigger day because, look, as good of a day as Wilson had, Elijah Moore is still playing a good chunk of snaps more than him. He's getting more routes than him. And that 1-2 punch at receiver for the Jets is going to be very special because these are guys that can win in the one-on-ones. And that's something that this team hasn't had for years. By having these guys that can win in the one-on-ones, you're making your quarterback's life a lot easier. And frankly, I like the Jets wide receivers a lot better than Cincinnati's cornerbacks because if Cincinnati puts Eli Apple on Elijah Moore one-on-one, I think Elijah Moore wins that 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Yep.
Eli Apple stinks.
Yeah.
So, and look, once again, can the Jets O-line hold up against the Cincinnati Bengals defensive line, which I think is very underrated. I think a lot of people don't talk enough about how good that pass rush with Trey Hendrickson is.
Yeah.
But if they can do that, like you said earlier, I think this over is a very good possibility.
I love it. Yeah. I love the over today for this game.
It's very, very, very advantageous for the Jets wide receivers going against the Bengals secondary. Like I said, if the Jets pass rush doesn't get home, which quite frankly, it hasn't in the first 2 games of the year, then Burrow could be throwing for a lot of yards. And I think it ends up being a very close game at the end of the day. But I do think that the Jets cover and I'm banking that the pass rush gets alive, but just that caveat, if they don't get there, I think it could end up being that the Bengals cover their spread. But, fantasy plays, I would definitely play Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson. If you're absolutely desperate, throw in Flacco, because I think I'll have at worst a decent day.
Right.
And then obviously I'd probably play your Bengals wide receivers. I'd probably play Joe Mixon. I would play Joe Burrow. So I think it's going to be a very good fantasy game. In terms of like good defensive football, not 100% sure on that.
Right. The last question before we get into the rest of the league here and get into the Eagles talk. When are you guys expecting Wilson back? And will he come back at 100%, or are you guys going to rush him back if you win today? Is it more of a push to get him back faster?
Well, there was actually a report by Ian Rappaport today that Wilson is starting week 4.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that came out today. And I personally think that's the right move because, like I said, you need as much time to see this guy as possible. Frankly, I think he's been healthier than the team has come out
Okay.
and said. That's not me having any information. That's kind of been my opinion on the matter because I think it's better that they let him rest up and heal fully to the point where he feels comfortable with everything rather than like, the first sign he feels healthy. Oh, we're going to put you in there because, it is a tough stretch of the schedule, regardless of what you think about the Browns, the Bengals, the Steelers. Like, it still is a very tough part of the schedule. And the fact that the Jets are 1-1, potentially being 2-1, 1-2, their season's not over
Right.
at that point, and they have a very good shot to still compete and be hanging around for the rest of the year. It's better to have your potential franchise guy fully healthy and ready to go instead of, oh, he's healthy, but he's lacking that 5% where he's not trusting himself and then he's getting himself in the bad habits.
No, I hear you. And also, if Flacco continues to win football games, you want to get him out as soon as possible because coming from a city that had to deal with a QB controversy for half a decade, it's not fun, especially when one quarterback is an old man and the other quarterback is a young guy with a high ceiling. So you want to get Zach Wilson on that field as soon as possible, sooner rather than later.
And I think it's a very good thing that they, you know how things work with the insiders. I think that's a good thing that they put that out through these insiders because they're setting that narrative like, no matter what happens today, he is starting next week.
Right.
Because you leave that up to chance. And, I am a Jets fan, but growing up in the South Jersey area, the Philly area, seeing those Eagles quarterback controversies, it's never good for the young guy when the old incumbent is always staring down their neck. And we saw that with Wentz. It's like if a guy isn't built for that, and we don't know how Wilson would respond to that. He hasn't been in that situation yet. But that is so detrimental at times to a quarterback's confidence, which is one of the most important things in any sport, let alone the quarterback position.
Yeah.
That starts affecting the team in negative ways and everything starts to spiral.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Eagles talk. Poll of the day. Speaking of Carson Wentz, we didn't want to have the same poll as Money Pot Podcast, Nate Moss. We were originally going to go, will the Eagles cover? Go Birds. We were originally going to have, will the Eagles cover? But we're going to go into a different little topic, and we're obviously going to still talk about everything Eagles today. But the poll of the day, the Eagles will hold Carson Wentz to under 245 passing yards. Agree or disagree? I'm going to disagree to the poll. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think Wentz gives you at least 2 touchdowns, and he's been walking into 300-yard games this season.
Yes, he has.
The defense has been outright atrocious, so he's going to be throwing the football more. They may go down early, so you know damn well he's going to be throwing that football. I think it's easy money if you go over Carson Wentz 245.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I disagree to the poll. I agree with you. I think he goes over 245. I think he's going to be close to that 300 number. Whether he gets over 300 or not, I think it'll be close. But the going to Washington, we haven't seen it on the road. I mean, we saw what Detroit did to us on the road, but then we saw what we did at home to Minnesota, which everyone thought we were going to, have a lot of trouble with those wide receivers. Washington does not have a bad group of wide receivers.
No, they don't.
You got McLaren, who's great, and then you got Dotson, who looks like an outstanding rookie.
And Curtis Samuel has been one of the best wide receivers in the league so far after 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then you got Thomas, the tight end. They look like they could be a formidable team going up against the Eagles, who have struggled in the backfield. Let's not kid ourselves. Throwing the ball is how teams beat us.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. The number for today is over under 47.5. I know last week everybody was slamming the over with the Eagles Vikings.
Yeah.
Didn't go even after 31 points were scored in the
Right.
first half. I don't see how this game doesn't hit 50.
I was about to say I love the over. Yeah. I love the over. I do think that the Eagles give up 24 here, but I do think that they score 28, right? And I think that's where this is going to be. What's the spread for the game, the final spread now?
6.
6. So it's going to be right around there.
Yeah.
I think, 24-30 type of game. A lot of people are predicting 31-21 I see out there.
Yeah, I said 31-28.
That's fair.
But I have the Commanders winning. I love the Eagles. I love this team. I said it all summer that I think this is going to be a good season. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win all 17 games.
Right.
You're not going to win all 6 division games. So we need to start finding where this team's going to just fumble. And I think today is a fumble piece. I mean, you had an outstanding game, outstanding home opener on Monday night. The team's rolling on all cylinders. And it's just such a Philadelphia thing to have your old franchise quarterback beat you the first time he meets you again. It's just such a Philly thing to do. I know I've been roasted on the HUD platforms for my prediction, but I'm taking off the green goggles for once. I mean, I predicted a Minnesota Vikings just collapse on Monday night.
Right.
I said the score was going to be 38-24. But I thought for sure we were gonna blow them out, and we ended up blowing them out.
Yeah.
I think today we're gonna fumble it a little bit.
It's gonna be a little letdown game.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What do you think, Brandon? What do you got? Your thoughts on this Eagles game today?
So I think I have the Eagles covering the spread. And regarding the question about Carson Wentz, I think that he does go over 245, but I think it's not in that traditional sense where I think that the Eagles force a turnover or two, get out to, I'd say, like a 14-0, 17-3 type lead where Wentz literally has to throw in the second half of the second half of the game, all like basically every play. And I think that's how he gets back. And I think, kind of like what happened. And I think, I'm not sure if it was Commanders week 1 game where, they made it close at the end. No, I think it was when they played Detroit where all of a sudden Wentz is 304.
Right.
And it's like, wasn't this team losing like 21-3, like in the first half of the game? I think we're going to have something along those lines where, the Eagles get out to a very hot start, that they have this spread covered. It seems over. And then slowly but surely, Wentz starts throwing yard after yard after yard because, and it's not just pertaining to the Eagles. We've seen this already so much in the NFL this year that teams are getting up to giant leads. And all of a sudden, it's a 1-score game with like 5 or 6 minutes left. And it's, how did this happen? What is going on with the defense? And half the time,
analytics.
Half the time, it's not even because of the defense. It's, we're going to drop back. We're not going to let them. And then the team
coaches calls.
Exactly.
It's because the nerds in the front office that went to Harvard that say, we need to play 15 yards off the line of scrimmage because we're up by 20 and there's 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And next thing you know, you lose by 1 point. Because you're letting nerds run football. That's basically what it is. That's why these teams are just totally collapsing with these big leads.
And I feel like it's so much more than it's been. It's like I've never seen this amount of comebacks in like the first 2 weeks of the season. And it's, is it because defenses aren't like fully invested in what they're doing yet? Are guys still getting like used to the speed? And it could be a lot of different factors, but at the end of the day, I do think the Eagles cover the spread. But at the same time, I do think Carson Wentz goes above 245 passing yards.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And you're right. It's been a little bit more than what we see in the past, whether it's coaching or whether it's analytics or whatever the reasoning is. A lot of it has to do with money. Let's not kid ourselves, guys. There's a lot of money in the NFL. A coach doesn't want to look bad on one play because that play sticks out.
Yeah.
Right? So if a quarterback is going to come down and throw 10 yards here, 8 yards there, and methodically beat you down the field, that's going to look a little bit better in the resume than you giving up the long ball on one play. And that helps money-wise. That helps go to get a job. That helps, get contracts done. I don't know what the answer is. I'm more of a guy of do what is making you win the game. Don't change your strategy the whole entire game. I mean, it just seems really simple, but money, analytics, the way the game is right now, the way sports is right now, it really does have an effect on teams coming back and making it a close game towards the end of the game. A W's a W right now. No one really cares about the spread. If you win, you win. That's all that matters right now.
Yep. Remember, guys, we're here at All Campus Rant Booth, A2D Radio. We're here every Sunday morning, 11:30 to 1. We lead you right to the 1 p.m. slate of games. We talk all football. We got Brandon here, Jets writer. He has a lot of knowledge when it comes to the Jets. And then, of course, we're your Eagles insiders right here. Ocean City, New Jersey, 10th Street. Beautiful day here. It's probably going to be beautiful up until November. It's just
gorgeous here. Absolutely gorgeous. Perfect weather.
So make that weekend trek up here. Hang out on the beach, hang out on the boardwalk. It's not as crowded as it usually is in the summertime. So make sure you make your way up here or down here, wherever you're coming from. So we got Eagles. Obviously, Eagles versus the Commanders.
How weird is it still to say Commanders?
Yeah, I mean it's
I'm not used to it.
It's starting to roll off my tongue.
Is it?
Yeah. I've been calling them commies all week.
Okay.
But I'm trying to be a little PC, so I think the Commanders are rolling off my tongue now.
All right. I'm still not used to it.
Yeah.
Especially here, in the store, I get customers that come in all the time and they ask for the old logo.
Yeah.
And the old team, that's all they want. None of the fans, they don't want to recognize the Commanders.
Yeah,
none of them do.
Yeah, I was getting used to the WTFs, the Washington football team.
I
thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so let's get into maybe some players of the game. Let's give our official predictions for this game, and then we'll start bringing you around the league. And then by that time, we'll lead you right into kickoff.
Yeah.
When we start with the Eagles, I think Jalen's going to have another good game. I still think we're going to put up 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I just have a weird feeling, like Mr. Wing was saying, like anything happens in NFC East games, especially early on in the season, especially when expectations are high. It just looks funny to me that we are 6-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little high.
Especially with a team that has been okay.
Right.
I know they weren't good in the first half of last week against Detroit, but they did try and fight their way back, ended up coming up short. I'm going to go 31-28 Commanders. I think Hurts has a good game. I actually think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's going to get his first pick.
Okay.
I think A.J. Brown's going to get his first touchdown as an Eagle. And overall, I think it's going to be a good game. But like I said in the beginning of the show, like I've been saying all week, like I've been saying all over social media, defending myself, this team is not going to go 17-0.
No.
We're not going to go 6-0 in the division.
No.
We're going to have to start finding losses on this schedule. And if people really think we're going to go 12-5, 13-4, show me 4 losses on this schedule. Show me 5 losses on this schedule.
I'll have them.
If you have 4 or 5 losses on the schedule, I think this game is one of them.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. So what do you have, Brandon? What do you think about this game? Any standout players that you have going off today?
I think that the Eagles are going to win 28-21. I think that it's a good score. They're going to cover the spread. I think that specifically, I frankly don't know who covers A.J. Brown on the on the Commanders defense, because they've gotten blowtorched by Amon-Ra St. Brown specifically last week, and A.J. Brown is a lot better than him, and Amon-Ra is pretty good. So that's kind of where I'm leaning, where I'm like, yeah, at the same time where, the Commanders could keep it close, they could steal a game. I frankly don't know how they cover A.J. Brown. I'm having him go for 2 touchdowns today.
Nice.
I think he's going to have a big game. I think Hurts is going to key in on him. And, it's kind of that tried and true method where if a guy's open every single play, you got to keep going back to him. And we've seen that with Aaron Rodgers last year with Devontae Adams. You've seen that with a lot of good quarterbacks and a lot of good wide receivers. So that's kind of where I'm keying in on. On the Commander side, I think Jahan Dotson gets in the end zone again. He's been really impressive, and I think that, as they're making their way back, I think Dotson's either going to break a big one or he's going to have one in the red zone.
Yeah, I got the Eagles winning, but I got them not covering. I think it's going to be a little bit closer game. I got 28-24.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go over, the over-under. Player of the game is I'm waiting for that real big breakout game from Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
I think this could be it. I do think that they're going to key on A.J. Brown, even though I think he'll have a good game. I think this is going to be the game where Dallas Goedert goes for, 8 catches, 110 yards, and a TD. So I'm looking for Dallas Goedert on the offense side of the ball. Defensively, man, I think it's going to be a joint effort defensively. I'm hoping to see the rookies. Yeah. I want to see Davis. I want to see Dean a little bit because I do feel like it's going to be a little bit more of a passing offense, like you were saying, Brandon, that Wentz is going to maybe throw 45 times this game. So I want to see Dean a little bit more on the field today. Have that pass coverage linebacker in there for us, especially against Gibson, who's a heck of a receiving back coming out of the backfield. Washington, I'm a little bit afraid of. I think Dotson. I think he is a real threat for us. Going to get us on a lot of double moves, especially if you get him in the slot maybe against somebody, who we know falls for double moves.
Yeah.
So I think he does have a big home run hit, this game.
Yeah, I like it. I honestly have a similar score going into the last 3 minutes of the game. I just think Wentz leads a touchdown drive. I've seen Wentz lead a lot of touchdown drives in his career, especially with us. There's been really great moments. I think we will be up 28-24, but I think Carson marches down the field.
So I want to make a point here.
It's not my Carson goggles.
He's got the Wentz jersey on. We know he's a Wentz guy. All right. He did put the Brown on the tape in the back of the 11 there. We know he's still a Wentz guy deep down. All right?
I mean, if Wentz pulls it off and they end up winning on a game-winning touchdown, maybe I'll rip off the tape.
There it is.
Maybe I'll rip off the
tape. He's going down to Washington. He's going to the parade down there.
Dre, the Cowboys stink. They're gonna finish last in the NFC East. You guys had a cute win against the Bengals last week. It's not gonna happen again. I mean, Cooper Rush stinks out loud. Dak Prescott is not the guy, especially with the lack of weapons he has this year. The Cowboys are done for.
He's got all the money though.
He does have all the money, but they're done for. I mean, you guys are in serious trouble. I don't know if you can make the only saving grace you guys have is your defense, and maybe that could carry you throughout the season. But other than that, the Cowboys stink out loud. They're not good. CeeDee Lamb is a number 2 on a team. Quite frankly, I'd rather have Devontae Smith over CeeDee Lamb right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's close.
CeeDee Lamb is not a number 1. You guys need a number 1 to play with that man for him to succeed.
So that's my little rant on the Cowboys.
The hated Cowboys. You want to give blow through for the Phillies real fast? Give our Phillies talk here.
I mean, Dre, I don't want to hear nothing. Cowboys face Brady and a Super Bowl team. They'll face the Lions and Vikings.
Stop.
That's the Super Bowl team. All right, we're done. We're done. Delusional. What's up, Don? So, yeah, Phillies, they had 2 big wins against the Braves.
3 in a row, and then, last night kind of hurt.
I mean, they almost fought their way back into the game. I'm still seeing a lot of key strikeouts in big situations, which I don't like.
Right.
Reese Hoskins, this is what I'm talking. Like,
oh, stop it.
He decides to go off when they win 11-0. Why can't he ever have a big hit when it's 4-4, or why can't he have a big hit when it's 4-2 in the bottom of the 7th? Like this is what I'm saying. His average is 250 because he goes 6 for 6 when we win 11-0 or when we lose 12-1.
Well, don't you think we win 11-0 because he goes 6 for 6?
Okay, so why can't we win the games when it's 4-2? And he's striking out on 3. All I hear about Rhys Hoskins is, oh, he sees pitches. He sees pitches.
He does.
Second and third, 1 out, 3 straight strikes, and you're out in the bottom of the 8th when you're trying to come back. That's atrocious. He can't be the 2-hole hitter if we actually want to compete against any team come playoff time. He can't.
I'm looking at it like Brandon Marsh can't be our 6-hole hitter.
He's going to be the 9th when everybody's healthy.
I hope so.
I'm so over Rhys Hoskins. And this is what I'm talking about. 11-0 or whatever the hell the score was the other night.
Right.
Where he just has a game.
Right.
Have that game in a big game when the score's close. When you're in a big spot. Don't strike out on 3 pitches. When it's second and third with 1 out.
Everyone does that, though. I mean, everyone does that. You're going to have big moments where you come up small.
Yeah, I'm out.
Bryce does it. Yeah. Everyone does it.
I mean, he's a locker room guy, right? He's the leader of the clubhouse, but he's never had a big hit in his career. That's why we couldn't trade him, right? Because he's a clubhouse guy that strikes out on 3 pitches when you need him the most.
You're not trading him. We have been at this all year, Brandon. I don't know if you follow baseball or the Phillies, but we have been at this lineup thing with Rhys Hoskins all year.
I'm actually a diehard Mets fan, so
yeah,
I know. Yeah, that's gonna. I know that's gonna sit well with everyone. But yeah, the whole Hoskins thing actually reminds me of what a lot of Mets fans used to talk about with Michael Conforto when he was on the team, where it's like everyone's like, the dude can't ever get a clutch hit, and then when they're losing, it's like, oh, I'll have like 2 home runs and go like 4 for 4.
Yeah,
and it's like yes, at the same time, it's like, all right, it happens, but it's like when it keeps happening over and over and over again, it's like, come on, man, just get a hit in a big spot once.
Yeah.
I trust Rhys, and I trust in the playoffs he'll come through for us. That's it.
Yeah, you can't have 2 guys in your lineup, 1-2, that strike out as much as those guys do. And Schwarber and Hoskins. You can't have both of them.
That's the baseball today. That's it. Strikeouts don't mean a thing anymore.
And that's why we're not with the elite of the elite teams. That's the bottom line. You need a Trey Turner in this lineup.
Yeah.
that's just the bottom line.
Yeah. I listen, I'll take Trey Turner any day of the week. Yeah. But
what do you think about your Mets?
Yeah, I was just about to say, how you feeling about your pitching staff up there?
I'm feeling good. As long as DeGrom doesn't get blown up against a team like the Athletics again, I think we're in a good spot. But I'm very happy with the lineup. I think that the team is built for postseason success. How much success? I vote as I've been looking at everything. The NL is so exponentially harder than the AL this year. It's actually insane because if you look at it, you got the Dodgers, you got the Mets, you got the Cardinals. Those 3. That's not even including the Braves, the Phillies, probably even the Padres at this point. Maybe the Brewers as that last team. There is no easy out in the entire league. A Mets Phillies 3-game series. While I like the Mets pitching, like let's say that happened. While I like the Mets pitching, that Phillies lineup can explode for 10 runs in a game. Like we've seen it happen. Mets Braves, they've been competing all year. Mets Cardinals, Dodgers, there is no matchup for any team in the NL where I'm like, oh yeah, they're just gonna walk through this series.
Right.
Yeah. And I think at this point, whoever makes it out of the NL, you can look at it one or 2 ways. It's either they're going to be at such a big advantage because they face so many good teams that whoever they play in the AL, it's going to be like, all right, we're prepared for this. Or they're going to be such a big disadvantage because, in my opinion, whoever comes out of the AL, out of the Yankees or Astros, is going to be so fully rested and ready after playing only one hard series.
Right.
Versus, like, let's say the Dodgers, Braves, Mets, they're playing 3, maybe even 4 high-stress series to the point before they get to the World Series, and then it's like
they're just burnt out.
Yep.
You're facing the Astros. It's just so incredible the disparity between the two leagues right now.
Yeah, you're right in saying that. And the major thing is going into the World Series, usually who wins the World Series is not the better team, but who has their pitching rotation lined up correctly.
Mhm.
right? If you can have your horses go game 1, 2, game 4, 5, and then game 7, you're set up pretty well to win that series. But if you have to go through the NL, like you were saying, and you got to pitch that ace game 7 to get you going, and now he can't go World Series until game 3, now you got a little bit of
You're
an
in
issue,
trouble.
right? Yeah. So you're 100% correct. I do think the NL is a little bit more um, stacked with teams that are going to be harder to beat, especially now the Dodgers with their pitching staff being in shambles, than Astros, Yankees, right? That's it out of the AL.
Yeah, it's honestly insane how, like, I feel like it always used to be the opposite. Like the AL would be this stacked, and now it's like it's just the NL is so deep. It's just like I look at these teams, and yeah, these teams have weaknesses, but they all match up very well with each other.
They do. You're right.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I would love to see Mets Phillies. I would love to see a Mets Phillies playoff 3-game series.
That would not be good for my heart rate, but I'd love to see it.
It would be good for all of us. I mean, just the pitching matchups we could have: DeGrom, Nola, Scherzer, Wheeler.
Wheeler
That could be real fun games for us to watch.
And then Ranger versus Bassett.
Yeah, Ranger Bassett would be game 3.
Rangers been pitching phenomenal.
He's been really good.
He's been
borderline
just ace talk right there.
He has.
Like the one game that 1-0, right?
Yeah,
the first game against the Braves, Ranger, and then Eflin came in the pitch, and then Alvarado closed it out. It just felt like a baseball environment or a playoff baseball environment there. I love Eflin coming out of the bullpen to end the season.
So do I.
Alvarado's just found his own. It's like yin and yang,
right?
From what Alvarado was in the beginning of the year and what he is now. If Sir Anthony continues to just crumble, Alvarado can step right in, and he's a lefty.
Yeah.
He's a lefty against that Mets lineup that is filled with lefties.
Yep.
And like that's the thing. It's like that's why in a 3-game series it's so tough because like the Phillies have that top half of the rotation where it's like they can match up with just about anyone in the NL.
It's
like
it's just a matter if they show up and actually perform in big games.
And let's take this for example, right? Let's say the Phillies and Braves are matched up. Spencer Strider just goes on the injured list. Fried's been a bit up and down recently. Yeah. And the Brave and I mean Charlie Morton, as good as he is a bit up there. The brakes could come off of him.
And he struggles against the Phillies as well. We usually beat up on Morton.
Yeah, and you just saw the Phillies just took multiple games from the Braves. Yeah. It's like it all goes back to the point where these teams all match up so well with each other where it's like it doesn't matter who you play because it's going to be a big competition. It's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a struggle regardless of who you play.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be a Subway Series, World Series?
Look, I'm like I said, huge Mets fan, diehard Mets fan. I don't know who's getting past the Dodgers. I really don't. It's like because as good as the Mets are, so many of those guys, and it's so cliche to say this, but postseason experience, especially in baseball, is so important. So important.
Yeah.
And that Dodgers team, has every guy on the roster been to a World Series at this point? Like
they pretty much have won a World Series.
Yeah, it's like they're so prepared. It's like that's why you worry about the Braves because they just were there, and it's just a matter of like I'm very confident in the talent level of the Mets. I'm very confident in what the team is going to be able to do in the postseason, but it's postseason baseball is a different animal. We see it every single year. These teams that are meant to win don't always win because frankly, some of them just aren't built for the postseason, no matter how good they are. So it's more of like you're going to have to see once everything gets started. And by the time you see, it might be too late. But I think that they're going to be I think they're well built for the postseason. It's just, you got to perform. How do you end your season going into the postseason? It's like, how do you start off the postseason? There's so many factors with baseball that go into it that you can never be truly sure until the games actually start.
Yeah. I just feel like and this might be my my red goggles, or this just might be just a hunch, but I just feel like there's so many expectations surrounding the Dodgers, and they typically choke. There's so many expectations around the Mets. Now the Mets are pretty hurt right now.
Yeah.
I mean, our guys have been hurt, and we're getting them all back.
Yeah.
The Mets are getting hurt right now. Spencer Strider goes on the IL. He gets hurt right now. They're coming off a World Series run. Are they going to be able to do it back to back? I don't know. So I feel like, honestly, the NL may just have so much parity in it that it might be the Cardinals to steal. It might be the Phillies to steal. It might be the
Yeah.
Padres to steal if their pitchers step up, which they haven't done this year. They you want to talk about roller coaster ride with Musgrove or Mania or Snell,
Snell, yeah.
but
He's been good lately.
You Darvish,
Yeah.
like if those guys all step up and pitch their hearts out in these first two series, and they put up 1 run, seven earned or 7 innings, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts, they may find themselves in the World Series. But
Right.
there just might be so many hyped up expectations on those top 3 teams that the bottom 3 teams might be able to sneak in.
And it goes back to what I said. It's going to be so wide open. There's not like, look, you have your favorites in the Mets, Braves, Dodgers. You don't know what's going to happen. It's so
Right.
I'm not hitching my horse to any specific team right now because you don't know what's going to happen. It's so wide open to the point where I'm so excited to watch because I think it's going to be one of the better postseasons in recent memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially on the NL side. I really do think the every NL game and series should be really good.
Especially since we haven't seen Phillies playoff baseball in 11 years.
Yep.
Yep.
Everyone's looking forward to that.
So that should be fun. Just quick World Series prediction. I know you touched on it, but if you had a gun to your head, who is your World Series prediction right now? Hypothetical gun to the head. I don't want us to get flagged.
I'd probably go with Astros, Dodgers. I'm leaning Mets a little bit more than Braves, if not the Dodgers. But I like I said, I really love the way the Dodgers are put together. I think that they're going to be a threat in the postseason, no matter how their pitching's been. The Mets are that team where it's like I'm very confident in the 1-2 punch of Scherzer and DeGrom.
Yeah.
And I feel like it right now, like at this point, it's a toss up between Mets Dodgers for me, but I'm just giving the Dodgers a little bit of that edge because of the experience that they've had and that they've shown that we can make the World Series.
Yeah. How about you, John?
I'm gonna surprise a little bit of people, and I hate saying this, but I'm gonna go New York, New York. I'm going Subway Series. I think the Yankees lineup is just too dominant for any pitching staff over in the AL. And I do think that 1-2 punch of Scherzer DeGrom is going to carry the Mets through the playoffs and into the World Series.
Yeah, you kind of stole my answer. Not like if being a realist, obviously I want the Phillies to make it,
of course,
but I know that's not going to happen. And just as a sports fan in general, I just think a Subway Series, World Series would just be great theater, great sports, and every inning would be a must watch.
Right, it'd be great for baseball.
It would be awesome.
Yeah.
It would bring baseball back, in my opinion. I mean, going from the Bronx to Citi Field every other day is going to be unbelievable. The atmosphere, whether you're at Yankee Stadium or you're at Citi Field, is going to be unbelievable. And quite frankly, that's probably a sporting event I would love to see live. Maybe like a Game 4, or hell, if it goes Game 7, obviously Game 7.
Yeah,
but like
I'm with you. And the other reason I don't want the Dodgers in it is I don't want to see a West Coast time zone game. I don't want to deal with it. I want the East Coast games. I want the time zone the way it should be, and the games on at 7, 8 o'clock at night instead of 9, 10. That's just me being selfish. That's another reason why I want New York, New York. But I do believe New York will be the World Series.
Yeah. So yeah, that should be fun.
You want to get into our bet?
Yeah, let's get into our best bets of the week. Put in our crazy spread parlay.
So every
See if
week,
it hits.
Brandon, we put in a 12-team parlay for the NFL and just bet $1 on it, and we have fun with it. So get a little bit of your input on some of these.
Yeah, I think I did one of these this morning. So if you want me to if you want me to read mine,
All right. Well, I'm gonna go down the list, and you just tell me who you want, and whoever says 2 out of 3, that's the team we go with. All right. You want me to go down the list?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We got Buffalo, Miami. Buffalo -4, going to Miami.
Yeah, I'm going Buffalo -4.
You going Buffalo -4?
That's almost. I feel like that's a lock for me.
What do you got?
Look, as good as Miami has been in recent games, Josh Allen and the Bills are just they're a different animal. I'm good. Bills -4, 100%.
I'm all in. Anytime the Bills are giving 4 to any team in this league, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Saints Panthers. Saints -2 going to Carolina. That's a little weird.
See, I said Monday night that I thought the Panthers were going to pull this off. I think there was a lot of emotion in the Bucs Saints game, and I think that the Panthers are just going to pull this off. If it were up to me, I'd stay away.
We do have a stay away game.
This may be the game I stay away from, but if you had the hypothetical gun to my head, I would go Panthers.
Okay.
There's a different game where I would say stay away. There's actually 2 other ones I'm looking for right now, but regarding this one, it's just like, all right, do you trust Jameis Winston with 4 back fractures? Which I don't even know how anyone plays with 1, let alone 4. Or do you trust Baker Mayfield and the Panthers? I'm probably gonna go with Saints -2.
Okay.
I'm feeling very bad about it. I'd much rather go Saints money line than -2. But if we're talking spread here, I'll bite the bullet and say Saints -2.
I'm gonna go Saints -2, and I'm gonna go for a big game at Tyson Hill. I just think they're gonna when they get in the red zone, he's gonna be the guy under center.
I think he's out today.
Is he out today?
I think so.
When did that come down?
I saw it earlier.
Really?
Let me double check that. Hold on.
Well, then I might go Panthers.
See, this is what I'm saying. You never know.
So when we do the show here, I don't get to do my lineup or anything.
Yeah,
That's a negative.
Yeah, officially inactive. Jacoby Myers, Taysom Hill.
Okay. I'm changing. I'm literally going Panthers because I don't trust Winston in the red zone. I don't. He's not going to want to take a hit, right? I don't trust him. I love Carolina if he's going to be the guy in the red zone under center.
And it's home. I mean,
Carolina
has good fans. Their defense is young. Let's throw it to the side and then look through everything else, and then we could go back to that one.
All right, Baltimore going to New England. Baltimore giving 2.5.
Brandon,
I'm gonna go with Baltimore -2.5. Look, I know everyone's like, oh, the Patriots are this, the Patriots are that. 1, I don't think New England is gonna be able to stop Lamar Jackson. 2, I think Mac Jones is gonna have an absolutely terrible day.
Right.
And when I say this, it's not like, oh, I think Mac Jones is this terrible quarterback. It literally has nothing to do with that. I think Mac Jones is actually pretty good. I have no faith in Matt Patricia and the offensive scheme that New England is running. And I think that John Harbaugh is going to literally coach circles around Patricia and that offense today.
I find it weird that Patricia is the offensive coordinator now.
That's 100%. I don't understand that either.
That was the weirdest thing I saw last weekend, that he was minding the offense instead of the defense.
Well, that was the whole training camp. That was the whole thing with New England, how Mac looked like he was just not the same because of they have no design. They have no scheme.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm there with you for Ravens 2.5.
All right, Ravens 2.5. I do want to bring something up though. So far we have liked every road favorite, which is odd. Right? You usually like taking home dogs.
That's
But
dicey. That's very
we've
dicey.
gone every road favorite here.
That's why the Panthers might be a good play at +2.
And now we got another one. You got Philadelphia going to Washington.
You guys know how I feel. I
You
got
know,
Washington.
Philly -6. You got Washington. You said,
I'm gonna go with Eagles covering the spread -6.
and I got Washington +6. I think Philly wins, but I don't think they cover this game. So we're taking Washington.
And if we would have went Philly, that would have been 4.
That would have
road
been 4,
favorites.
right? That's what I mean. Yeah.
If we would have went with Panthers, if we
Yeah.
do go with Panthers.
Next game we got Detroit going to Minnesota, which I think could be a surprise game of the week. Minnesota -6.5.
So when I looked at this, I took Detroit to cover the spread. I think Detroit is a very, very underrated team this year. I mean, I think that what they showed against the Eagles and Commanders is that it's not necessarily that, it's like the Eagles played the Lions. I think the Lions are a lot better than what people are letting on. I think Dan Campbell has that team ready to roll every single week.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, they're a lot more talented than they were last year. So definitely going with Detroit +6.5. I think they could even upset this week on the road. I think it's very possible.
Okay. What do you got, Jimmy?
I would love to do an anytime touchdown scorer for this one, but I know that's not the rules. I just feel like the public's leaning towards Detroit.
Right.
And being a amateur professional better than I am,
Boy.
that means you actually go
against it.
You go against that.
Yep.
Go against the grain. What are you thinking? Because I'm really up in the air.
I'm one of those idiots that everyone's going for Detroit. I'm one of those idiots going for Detroit. I'm with you. I'm enamored by this Lions team. I can't wait to see when Jameson Williams comes.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to be a fun offense to watch.
Yeah.
He was my favorite wide receiver coming out of the for example, if he was healthy, I wanted the Jets taking him at 10.
Right.
And I love Garrett Wilson. But there was just something about Jameson Williams, his speed and all that, where that is game changing for an offense.
Yeah, they're talking. Hopefully he comes back after the bye. Week 7 he'll be back hopefully, and I would love to watch this offense a little bit more. But yeah, I got Detroit this game.
All right, let's roll with Don. Let's go Detroit +6.5.
All right. Then we go Cincy going to New York Jets. Cincy -6.5. Another road favorite.
I promised myself that I'm just going to keep on betting Bengals until they cash me out. So I feel like I just have to go with Bengals.
Okay.
And that's the only reason why I'm doing it.
What's the homer say?
Oh boy. I guess I'm going to draw my line in the sand here. I'm going to go with Jets +6.5.
All right.
This might bite me in the ass. We'll see. But man, I'm gonna go with Jets 6.5. Oh boy.
I'm actually gonna go Cincy here too. I think Cincy can win by a touchdown. They can't be this bad.
And also, after that emotional win that the Jets got, how many times the next week does a team like that build off of that performance?
Huge potential for a letdown.
100%.
Yeah. 100%.
That's also what I'm looking at, and the sole fact that I don't think the Bengals are this bad.
Right. That's where I'm at. I think the Bengals have a lot more talent than what they have shown the last couple of weeks, and this is a get-right game for them. Like you said, the secondary's not what it could be for the Jets. So this could be a get-right game for the Bengals.
I'd say it's also a litmus test for the Bengals in the sense that if they end up playing way too close to the Jets or they lose, then it's like, okay, what is going on with this team?
Right. Now everyone's hitting the panic button.
It's more, in my opinion, and even with everything we discussed, it's more of a pressure game for Cincinnati than the Jets.
Yeah. All right, we got the Las Vegas Raiders going to Tennessee. Another road favorite, giving 1.5 to Tennessee. Now the Raiders have not really looked that good, but they're not a horrible team either. I'll start off first. I'm gonna go Raiders. I think this is
Yeah.
a game where they can get right and they can start righting the ship and turning their season around.
I think for me, looking at this matchup is what team am I less confident and what team do I think is in more trouble? I think the team that's in more trouble is Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I think the Raiders are very talented. They just have gotten off to a slow start. Tends to happen to some teams in the NFL. I'm going with the Raiders here.
All right.
Yeah, I'm all in on the Raiders. The Titans have one player on offense, and his name is Derrick Henry.
He's been
And
shut down a lot.
all you need to do is shut him down, and the offense is just in complete shambles. I think -1.5 is going to make you money today if you just want to do a single bet on the Vegas Raiders.
All right, we got another road favorite. Chiefs going to the Colts. 4.5. Chiefs are only giving 4.5. Does that seem a little low?
Yeah, I got Chiefs all day.
Yeah.
Have we seen the Colts play this year? I mean, Matt Ryan is just burnt toast. I mean, you saw him without Michael Pittman last week.
Right.
Your team should not fall apart like that because you don't have Michael Pittman. That's the bottom line. I bet you the Colts wish they had Carson Wentz right now.
Whoa.
I bet you.
Right.
I mean, the guy had a good season last year.
Yeah.
He folded under pressure, but all in all, they had a good season.
What do you got, Brian?
So, fun caveat with this game. The defensive coordinator for the Colts was actually the defensive coordinator for the Raiders last year. And if you remember during that Chiefs stretch where the offense seemed like it just cratered out of the sky, the only games that they performed in were against the Raiders. So I am definitely rolling with the Chiefs here.
All right, good call. I'm all over it. I think it's way too small of a line. I love the Chiefs by 10 here. So we got Houston going to Chicago. Chicago -3.
I got Houston.
I was about to say the same.
Houston.
Chicago shouldn't be giving any team points. I am not a Justin Fields guy. I do not think he is the answer. And I absolutely love David Mills. I think that Houston can absolutely win this game, let alone cover. So I'm with Houston. You got Houston. Where you at, Brandon?
Yeah, I love Justin Fields. I think Fields is great.
Really?
I think that he is in a terrible situation and that the Bears, look, has Fields been amazing this year? No, but they are not helping him out in the slightest.
Wow.
The guy has thrown like 27 total passes this season. Joe Flacco's thrown 100 in the past in the first 2 games of the year. It's like, and on the other hand, like you said, I don't think Chicago should be favored in any game whatsoever. This Houston team has competed week in, week out. They were a few more right plays away from beating Denver last week. I'm hammering that +3. I'd be hammering money line for the Texans as well.
Right. All right.
Is Herbert out?
Herbert is
because
the backup running back for.
No, I'm sorry. I just saw the line for the Chargers, and it's +3.5 right now for Jaguars.
Oh, did Herbert get ruled out?
If Herbert got ruled out, that's why that line jumped.
I haven't seen anything yet.
It was 7 yesterday.
Yeah, I would assume he's out from what they were talking about earlier before we did the show. It sounded like he wasn't going to suit up today. But, yeah, Jacksonville going to L.A. L.A.'s -3.5. If Justin Herbert does not play.
Is that the stay away we do?
That would be my stay away. Yeah, I would stay away there.
There's just too much up in the air with that game. If Herbert's in, I love the Chargers.
Yeah.
If Herbert's not playing, what does this Chargers offense look like with Chase Daniel at the helm? We don't know. And at the end of the day, it's like, what does that do to Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler? Do they turn into a power run scheme with maybe Sony Michel? Like, we don't know what happens without the Chargers having one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And quite frankly, once again, like I said with the Texans, the Jaguars have been a very tough out this year. They have not looked like the team that they were last year. Quite frankly, I think that had a lot to do with Urban Meyer and the absolute dumpster fire that he brought there. But Yeah, I would 100% stay away from this game. Do not bet.
So this is a stay away game. We'll go to the next game. We got Packers going to the Bucks, which should be a very good game. Both teams are just absolutely decimated at the skill positions, especially wide receiver. You got the Bucks favorite by 1.5 at home.
Can we break a rule and go over 42?
Gotta take the points. Gotta take the team.
I don't know, man. It's really just I really think it's a coin flip.
I'm with you. I'm gonna go Packers mainly because yes, everyone's out in the wide receiver position for both teams, but also Tampa Bay's offensive line is really, really banged up. So I'm just going to trust Aaron Rodgers a little bit more than Tom Brady right now because of the offensive line.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I got to go Packers. I don't know who Tom Brady's throwing to today.
I don't know who he's throwing to. I don't even know who's protecting him. He's going to be in for a long one, I think, today. Got the Rams going to the Chargers. Rams -3, or Rams going to the Cardinals. Sorry, Rams -3.5.
Lay that Rams.
I'm all over the Rams.
I'm all over the Rams. Kyler Murray stinks out loud. I know that he has these unbelievable plays.
Yeah.
But I think the contract tells you all you need to know about Kyler Murray, and it's shown the past 2 weeks. I mean, he had a miraculous comeback this past week.
He did it with his feet.
He did it with his feet, and it's also because analytics falling back.
Yeah.
Not continuing to play with your game plan. Like, if the game plan works, why do you go away from it?
I don't know.
And that's why Kyler Murray won in week 2. It's not going to happen this week. The Cardinals are probably going to finish, I don't know, 7-10.
Right.
But Kyler Murray stinks. I'm going to go Rams.
What do you got, Brian?
My focus is not on the Cardinals offense, it's on the Cardinals defense. I think Cooper Kupp might go for 200 yards today. I have no idea who's covering anyone on the Rams.
Patrick Peterson, who does not look like Patrick Peterson of, earlier years. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm all over it.
Well, Peterson, I think, is in Minnesota.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Yes. Why not in Arizona? Who's the corner for Arizona that got hurt?
Is it Xavier Rhodes?
Is it Rhodes?
Murphy? Byron Murphy?
Murphy.
Oh, Murphy.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Murphy is not the same corner. I know he's not there now. All right, so you got Rams.
Yeah, Rams.
Rams.
Yeah.
All right, last game. We got a choice between two. You got Atlanta going to Seattle. Seattle -1. Or we have San Fran going to Denver for the night game.
I don't like either of these. I really don't.
I'm with you. They're both close spreads. Should be both close games.
Jimmy Garoppolo wins football games.
I think
we all know that.
I think I'd rather go San Francisco over Denver than Atlanta over Seattle. I feel like Atlanta over Seattle is just a literal toss-up. Whereas Denver has not looked as good as I thought they would. And quite frankly, I'm very scared about Russell Wilson against this 49ers defense. So I'm going to go with the 49ers here.
Is that where you're at?
I was leaning more towards Denver. So I'll let you make. I just don't think that Russell Wilson's going to be playing this bad 3 weeks in a row. I just don't see it at home.
My fantasy team has been really taking a beating because I have laid everything on Denver's offense.
Me too.
Cortland Sutton, I don't even know where he's at, but he was my number one receiver that I had going into this year. Russell has not looked like the big trading chip to get them over the hump that he should be. That being said, this is the week I got him. I'm going all in on him. I'm riding Denver again, and I think Russ just does enough to win. I don't think this is going to be a 300-yard game, but I think they do just enough to win.
I'm with you. So what is that's
So
our 12,
that's
right?
our 12. Yep. We faded Atlanta, we faded the Chargers, and we faded no, those are the two.
Yeah,
Those are the two.
because we don't do Monday night.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so our $1 bet will win us $2,301. All right. So if we win, we'll split it 3 ways.
I'm down.
All right. Let's we got the last 10 minutes before kickoff. You want to go into a quick who you think player of the week is for this week and who fantasy wise is your standout guys?
Yeah. Brandon, you can start.
Yeah, so player of the week, just looking at these games, I think Justin Jefferson is going to have a very big game.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to have a huge rebound after he got locked up by Darius Slay. I think it's going to show that Slay is one of the more underrated corners in the NFL. And, I frankly don't know how the Lions contain Justin Jefferson. A few other guys, Josh Allen, I think is going to have a great week. AJ, like I said, AJ Brown, I think he's going to have a great week. On the running back side, I think Dameon Pierce has a nice game. I think he finally has that first game where he's like, okay, this is the guy. He's looking good.
Right.
And one more guy, Allen Robinson. I think he is, whether it's him or Cup, I think the Rams are going to have a very big passing day, and I think he's going to be a big part of it.
You want to go?
Yeah, I like all that.
Yeah.
I think Javonte Williams breaks out tonight. I just when you saw him against Seattle opening week, it looked like it was his backfield to lose.
Yeah.
And he had an unbelievable game. But that fumble in the goal line was just detrimental to not only the points scored, but I just think the overall flow of this Broncos offense. If we remember, they had 2 fumbles on the goal line in that game against Seattle. One Gordon, one Javonte. I think Javonte takes over the game in prime time tonight. I think I've been saying it since summertime. He's going to turn into a Marshawn Lynch.
Right.
He's going to be Russ's Marshawn Lynch in Denver. I think tonight he breaks out against the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game in that game. So I got Javonte going off. Like you said, I love Jefferson. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown again. Cooper Kupp, obviously. But when you talk about Amon-Ra, he's probably been, as of right now,
one of the best.
The second best wide receiver in the league behind Cooper Kupp over the last 10 games.
Right.
And quite frankly, it's not even close. So until somebody stops him, I'm going to keep on saying Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to go off. Obviously, Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is the best fantasy football quarterback in the league. He's almost a lock to get a touchdown every single game, rushing touchdown, that is. So, obviously, Jalen Hurts is going to stand out. And, those are my 3.
One quick question. I don't know if you have it up, Brandon, but is J.K. Dobbins, is he in today?
I'll take a look. I think he is. I'd be avoiding him at least for the first week.
Right.
Just to see, how he looks off the knee injury.
My quarterback that I love, and I'm going to piggyback off of you, Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a big game. I don't know. Jefferson, after the debacle he had last week, he's going to be headhunting and looking for 200 yards today.
And also, Dobbins is 100% active.
Active, okay.
Yes.
I do love Dobbins coming into the season. This week I would fade him a little bit, but I'm very interested just to see how many snaps he's going to play. Not so much carries. I want to see how many snaps he's going to play today.
Yeah.
Tight end. I'm going to butcher his name. I always do. Miami. Gesicki.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's going to have another breakout game. The wide receivers for them are just outstanding with Hill and Waddle. Gesicki should have a little bit more open looks down the middle today.
Mm-hmm.
those are my fantasy standouts for the week.
Yeah, I love it. Um, any last words that you have, Brandon? It was a pleasure having you on the show. Do it again next week. It was fun. Fun talk about the Jets. Fun to talk about the Mets, especially since we're going to be going into a pennant race soon.
Yeah.
So you're always welcome to talk about anything Mets. So it was fun. Brandon, thank you so much. We got the Jets writer here. Have a great rest of your day, Brandon. And we'll see you next week. All right? Hopefully.
Yeah. Appreciate it, guys. Had a blast, and I'll catch you guys soon.
Sounds
Awesome.
good, buddy. Thank you
Thanks,
for joining.
Brandon.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Later.
All right. We got about 9 minutes until kickoff, so we're gonna be getting ready to head out, get our pizza, get our beer,
Yep.
and
Get ready for the game, baby.
Just watch this. We talk about sports theater. Carson Wentz versus the Eagles. Carson Wentz versus Jalen Hurts. That's almost as good as the Subway Series.
I'm with you. This is more entertainment game for me, and usually I don't say that about football, but this is Carson Wentz was beloved here.
Yeah.
Right? He was a beloved guy. We called him the franchise.
Yep.
All right? We paid him like the franchise.
Yes.
And then in a quick blink of a minute,
it just disappeared.
It was gone. Right?
Yeah.
And now he's revived in Washington. Actually, has looked pretty good. Like you said earlier in the show, had a decent year last year.
Yeah.
Right? And we know he's good for one. Right?
Yeah.
He's going to give us one. Let's see if we can make it 2 or 3 and make a real entertaining game out of this. I know there's a whole bunch of green going down.
Yeah.
Right? We're gonna be down there in droves, and hopefully we can make a little bit of noise for Carson. But this is going to be more of an entertaining game to me than a I don't know, passionate game. You know what I mean?
One last question, and we'll talk about it when November 12th rolls around, whatever that show is, before the Monday night.
Right.
Are we going to boo Carson, or is there going to be a tribute video?
Oh, no. There's a boo Carson.
There's not going to be a tribute video?
No. I don't think so. What are we attributing to? I mean,
an MVP season that won us the Super Bowl.
I hear you, but who was the MVP that year? And who people still call right?
Nick Foles.
So that was our MVP. I mean, I don't think he deserves one.
Yeah.
I sure as heck wouldn't give him one. And if I was at the game, I would be booing. Yeah, yeah. And listen, I was a big Carson guy.
Yeah.
You know, I loved Carson. I wish it worked out with him. But the way it all went down, he gets the boo birds 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to find a way to get to that game.
Okay.
That's going to be my...
You know, the 13th is my birthday, so I'll accept birthday presents.
16th is my birthday,
there
so I'll accept birthday presents too.
You buy me a ticket, I'll buy you
a
ticket.
Yeah. Cancel each other out. It's like the Big Bang Theory. You watch Big Bang with Sheldon, and he hates the idea of gift giving.
Right.
Yeah, that's what that's going to be.
There you go.
But yeah, guys, it was wonderful time here at the Ramp Booth. Remember, we're here every Sunday, all campus. We're giving away 20% off to everything, to all of our subscribers. Everything in the store, including hats and shirts. So make sure you check us out every Sunday. Make the trek down the shore. There's a bunch of bars in Summers Point on your way back.
Yep.
So you could come hang out with us for pregame and then go to any one of those bars.
Come back to my house. I don't care.
Or, the Coyle residence is always open.
Always.
So for John Coyle to my left, I'm Jimmy Rodweller. Have a great day and go Birds.
Take care, guys.
Don't hate me too much on social media.